Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to the Pilot Ryan and Captain Mike RC YouTube channel. We're here with the Freewing F4. We're running the JP Hobby 65mm wheel, 4mm axle brakes on here. Comes with the driver you need to run it to your receiver channel. Also too, the light is on the little driver when the brakes are engaged, so you can check that actually when you power it up. Also, I mean, if it doesn't roll, you know your brakes are on as well. By the way, I'm running a 2-cell battery to power the brakes right now, but there is a pass-through adapter that you can rely on your flight battery to operate your brakes, which is how I'm gonna go. I'm just waiting for that adapter in the mail right now. But here's a picture of one. Stay tuned, watch the video. You'll see exactly what I did to get it installed, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Thanks a lot. So installing the JP brakes are going to be really easy. We just have to get the stock wheel off. The set screws right there, and then put this one in, and this will be sweet. Then we just have to route some wires and get them into the fuselage, and then of course up to where the receiver goes and all that good stuff. Let's begin. So first thing we're going to do right now is get the wings off. I've already been into this plane. We're going to do the brakes before we do the EDF because you have to run the wires anyway. So let's do that. So we're going to remove the stock wheel right now. It looks like a 2mm wrench gets it done. Let's check it out. And these are those big ones, 2mm, nice and big. And you can use Loctite as long as you keep it off the plastic, or some kind of adhesive when you put them back in. Now, you might have to coerce this a little bit. Looks like just a little tap. Oh yeah, check it out. So these are the stock wheels for the F4. I believe they're the same size as the... So these are, I mean, dead ringer, about the same size. So this is super easy. All we got to do now, there's flats on both sides of the JP brakes. You just have to make sure that you have the wire facing the way you want it to. I'm going to have mine going down the back of the strut like this, trailing aft. So I want this flat spot on the top. I don't mind, there's a little hanging off there. And size it up, you know, because you're perfect. As long as it's not over, you know, deeper than the original wheel would have been, these should show up just fine. Shut up just fine. So, little eyeball action. Yeah, that's going to be great. Just go, as long as you hit the flat spot, you'll be fine. Alright, so we got the JP wheel on, and I can see that I got the flat spot right where I want it. Oh yeah. And it should be just right. Wheel depth for the wheel well and all that. There's a little bit hanging off here, but man, it doesn't bother me. I don't have any Loctite, so I'm just going to use some of that glue that comes with all the kits to put a little tiny bit on the threads. And again, there's a flat spot on both sides of the axle that comes with the JP brakes. These are the 65mm brakes, but you can only, you know, it doesn't matter because you only need one for this application. What's nice too is you can tell if you're moving because your wire stays here on the back end. And when you run these up into the fuselage, look at that. On a nice flat spot, it's not going anywhere. And these bearings are so smooth. So we'll wire that, undo this, and get it wired up and ready to go. This is the little controller that you're going to hook it up to in the fuselage. And then this can you can have a little 2-cell battery power the brakes, or you can do a tap-in lead that is also available at RCJETWERX, and this goes to the channel that you decide to use to operate the brakes. We're not going to run this wire right now because I already have this wing opened up. So this is the one I'll illustrate with, but let's go ahead and take the wheel off this one now. So I've stripped this. Be careful, make sure you got a good wrench when you do your thing. So this one, we can show you right here off of the plane, which is actually kind of nice. So there's a little set screw right there. Yes. And I say take it all the way out. You're going to do the same thing for both sides. Look at that. This comes out wonderfully. I got the stock tire. And the JP 65 millimeter. These things are dead ringer. The JP tire might be just a hair smaller. Not by much. So the JP tire has flats on both sides of the axle. It's already on here for us. These things spin amazing. Look at that. So I just want to make sure, so this is my trailing link here going aft. I want to make sure my wires are also aft. So I can see the flat spot right there. I'm going to go all the way in with it. You might have to clear a burr or something. No big deal. They're brand new, so there may be a little burr there. Again, make sure your wire's going back. That's how I'm going to do mine. So there's the flat spot. Get them all the way in, just like the other side. And it's okay, it protrudes just a little bit right here. And then this, double check it's aft. It is. And then the flat spots right here. You can use Loctite or a little tiny bit of glue. I'm going to use a little bit of the foam tack style. Tighten it up. It's super simple. So these JP brakes, they come either 4 millimeter or 5 millimeter axles on some varieties, from what I understand. Now you can always grind a little bit more on your flat if you want to have this seat right up against the axle, and I might do that. Nice. Now it's time to install it in the aircraft, and I have 2 wires to run. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one fed through as well. And I'm going to keep my twist ties because I'm going to use these to anchor it nicely to the strut once I extend the gear and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is for the brakes. Plenty to get you up front or wherever you need to go. Nice. Plenty. And then of course this is the gear itself. And this is the gear, dark wire up, second set of pins in. Make sure your plugs are all good. This one is my ailerons, I think it is. No, it's flaps. I split the flaps, I remember. So this is flaps. Normally it's on here, but I got mine split. Also because I thought I might try flaperons too, so I have my flaps split. So now my gear are plugged into the box like they should be. And here is all the wire that is going to be used to run up to the little driver that works the brakes up at the receiver. So get it through. It doesn't have to be perfect. We know we're going to put this up along the strut and things like that. So we don't have to address that up. for final right now, but that's pretty much a good mock-up. And we're also not going to tighten the screws on this super hard either, because we don't want to pinch any of this that's coming through. Just like I did before, I'm going to screw them in, but not hard. Just enough to hold it there. Just getting it started. I don't want to pinch this, and I may still need to move this, so I can if I need to without too much trouble. And once we get the gear extended, we'll finish the wiring job on the strut. But there's that one. Fantastic, look at that. And then they'll both plug in here, and there you go. And this runs it to your switch on the receiver, which we're going to show as well. So here we have an extended gear already, and this is how you're going to do it. Most of the time you're not going to need to replace the retract. If you do have to replace the retract, it's because this booger here does not want to come out. Start with a good fresh wrench. I've had 2 of them that wouldn't come out. So peel off that little piece and save it for later. You're gonna undo your green board from the wing. I've already done that because I split my flaps up, because I didn't want to have them going through the board. Mostly because I wanted to try some flap-around stuff, but now I'm going to do brakes instead. But I'm still going to leave it this way. So when you tighten this back up, you're not going to tighten it all the way, because you don't want to pinch these wires. So clear this away, and while you're at it, take a good look, make sure everything's still plugged in nice and tight. Very good. Now we have the lead for the brakes themselves, and there is plenty of wire here. To get it up to its board before it goes to the receiver, which is cool. So I'm keeping this for now. I may use some zip ties, but for now I'm going to use this. And so what I suggest doing is cutting a new. I think the best call is to kind of pick up here. You could come in front there if you trust yourself, but maybe cut a little tiny notch in this plastic right here and get back into this foam and catch up with this channel. Stay out of this area there, unless you just really trust yourself. You have room, but you might as well try to put the wire back in here or something. So let's get a knife. Doesn't have to be very deep, just deep enough for a wire. And again, don't cut your wire. And sometimes you can notch these out just with a little bit of coercion with your blade. There it is, just a little bit of a notch there. No big deal. You kind of knock any hard edge down out of it that there might be. Just spin something through it there. So I think this is the way to go on this. And at this point, go ahead and get it, thread it through here. Thread it through here before you get it cinched up. You're about where you want to be. So we're going to play with this. Extend the gear once it's plugged in and everything, and see what we think. But we do have room to work it if we need to. So that won't be any problem. Here's the only piece to worry about. And we can cut more in there if we want to. We're going to see how this shuts up and everything and make sure we like it. Gear door off and 2 screws. Now we've got great access for this. This is a good way to test it out before we zip tie it. So that's what we're doing. We've got this fit in the groove that we cut, but there's some slack here if we need it. We're coming through here, but we haven't buttoned it up. And we're gonna see how this retracts and shut those gear and make sure that we like what the slack's doing, and also that our gear door is working right. Looking good. Man, that's looking nice. So the only thing really I have to run up right now are these leads for the brakes. And I'm putting these brakes on channel 7. Awesome. And because I got an 8-channel receiver, I don't have to mess around. I can go right in with the BEC into 8. Cool. And again, the leads on the JP brakes match the polarity. So you got white, red, black right here. Black on the bottom on both of these is what it takes. And then this is powered by an external 2-cell battery or the pass-through adapter, which I will have soon. You can use just a 2S pack. I got an 800 milliamp battery just on standby. So I'm gonna do that right now. Plug it in. And I've already got mine assigned to the switch I want. And this is just to show it off for now. There's a little light on this board that's gonna let you know if the brakes are on or not. And you don't want them just setting on. Okay, so we're looking for a red light. I have mine assigned to the H switch. Can you see that light right there? And you can hear it too. So if you power up your plane and you hear, then your brakes are on. You don't want to see that red light because you'll know you're could potentially burn up your brakes. So they're not on right now. Perfect. No red light, no brakes. When you're doing this, make sure you give yourself plenty of slack here, or you'll be binding up when it's time to test out the retracts. This has to go all the way back here and be able to route back up, because you're going to be along the strut and then back up in the channel. So you got to give yourself plenty. And I'm grooving out carefully a slot for the wire for the brakes. I want to catch back up with this. But I also obviously don't want to cut my lead. You can either break this part away or cut it away. It's just a little standoff there, so I mean you can break it off pretty easy. So gear work good, slacks no problem. Let's retract them one time. And no matter what you do, you're going to have a little bit of slack somewhere. Now this, of course, I can fix. I have the plastic bits that cover this up, but everything's out of the way. when it comes to retracting the gear and all. So that's cool. And as far as I know, they're either on or they're off. I don't know anything else about travel adjustment. I did play with my roll die a little bit to see if they came on slow, but I didn't really notice that they did. And of course, under load, they're not going to stop as abrupt as when they do just spinning naked. Look at that. And then turn them off right away. And they both work at the same time. So cool. And nice bearings in there. Just fantastic. Again, just make sure they're not on while you're flying or just sitting around, and you are good to go. Here's our pass-through adapter from RCJETWERX. I still gotta make this an EC5, but you see the EC5 works with the XT90. So this is gonna power the brakes without using an auxiliary battery. And again, you know the brakes are on when you see that light right there. Well, that wraps it up, everybody. Thanks for sticking with me for the JP brakes upgrade from RCJETWERX. We put them on the Freewing F4 Phantom. It's really easy to do. There's a couple ways you can power the driver. You can power it with the jump-through, pass-through adapter, which I showed you, or just the auxiliary 2S battery. So, very easy to do. Any of you guys who are flying the new version of the JP Hobby brakes and you know what the settings should be as far as endpoint adjustments, put them in the comment section below. Let's see what you're doing. I haven't been able to run them around to see what I need to set them at. For now, they're off or they're on. But we're going to play with travel adjustment and things like that when we get this thing out and rolling and see what we come up with. But any of you who are already flying these, tell us in the comment section below, because I'm going to start with that as a reference. Check out RCJETWERX.com for batteries, upgrades, all kinds of things you need to keep your aircraft going. Whether it's a racing quad, 3S, warbird, civilian planes, jets, he's got batteries for everything with a multitude of different kinds of connectors. So, Andy, thanks for sponsoring this episode. Check out RCJETWERX.com, as I said. Thanks so much, guys. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more content like this. We like supporting our friends around the hobby. Thanks a lot, guys. See you next time.